He really had friends with a criminal past and shitty intentions. And in those months that followed our breakup, he used them. One morning I woke up and found that my car was put on concrete and bricks. They removed the wheels, cut out the catalyst, knocked out the windows, and wrote insults and swastikas on the bottle body. I was not a Jew. I fried his sister for the last 6 months, but somehow I still turned out to be a Jew and a fag. The insurance didn't cover everything, and I had to spend $2,500 for repairs. The police arrived, made a protocol, but the recordings from the cameras turned out to be useless. Faces covered, gloves on their hands, and this is not CSI. No one will collect hairs from the asphalt to find criminals, since the case ended with simple vandalism. 2 weeks later, the same fags attempted to set fire. Someone in a mask and hoodie set fire to Molotov cocktail and threw it into the rug in front of my front door. If the fire system in the apartment suddenly did not work, I would have to jump from the balcony of the 3rd floor because the fire would cover the entire entrance. This was already a serious crime. The cops were very interested in the investigation, but again, no leads. The face is closed, there are no prints, the cameras are not really recorded, and so on. Then for a month, there was silence. The ex-wife wrote to me when she found out about the fire. I told her that I knew for sure that it was her brother, but I have no evidence. She promised to talk to him, and this coincidence, the attack stopped. At least until the cops got interested in this bastard. Of course, I called his name as a possible suspect. During this month, she literally forced him to find a job, put ultimates, threatening to kick him out. And so he got a job at a half price in one shabby STO, which was known for the fact that it was better not to go there. They saved on everything, so this place was perfect for this piece of shit. He worked there until the cops came to him. When the owners saw that the police were asking questions to their new employee, who is listed with them for only 2 weeks, they drove him to the neck, which he was clearly grateful for. And so, one of the evenings I returned home after work, drove into the hall, sweated well there, then took a meal in the supermarket, and I came home on a fucking Colamaga from Enterprise, rented. After all, my car was still under repair. I'll quickly explain something. Although I was already 21 and I had documents for possession of weapons, plus permission for hidden carrying, I did not take a gun to the base. This was an extremely rare exception that someone, except for employees of certain services, were allowed to constantly carry a gun. I did not leave the gun in the car. There was no place at the base for reliable storage of weapons, so I just did not take it with me. And that is why, when this bastard rushed at me in the morning, I did not have it. I was unarmed. My apartment was on the 3rd floor, above me was the 4th, and between them the stairs. I heard fast steps coming down from above. I turned around. 4 in masks, hoods, and gloves were moving straight at me. My door was already open. I threw a bag of food and tried to slam the door behind me. They managed to push their foot and, falling down, broke into my apartment. Everything that happened next was settled in 14 seconds. The neighbor opposite, after the story with the fire, installed a surveillance camera at his door, so we know exact time tags, up to a second. Next to the front door in the closet, I had a loaded gun. Yes, irresponsibly, I know, but then I was young and stupid. In a fight with the first one who broke into the apartment, I managed to reach the closet, pick up the gun, and push back, increasing the distance between us. I remember this moment to the smallest detail. 4 men were standing in the doors and in the corridor. The first one, who I just threw away, was picked up from behind, not letting him fall. And he moved at me again. I picked up the gun. It was SIG PID 226, loaded with a .40 S and W caliber. As soon as I heard someone scream, I started aiming and pressing the trigger. I did not aim in the legs. I did not shoot to scare. I did not try to touch the body, the head, as taught, as trained. The first one collapsed. The second caught 2 bullets that passed through the first, after which I sent him a final shot in the forehead. The third one froze in place until 4 bullets entered his chest. The fourth turned around and was already halfway behind the door when I released the rest of the bullets into him, shooting him through the body of the third. You can think, wait, the fourth one ran away. This is a murder. But the police decided otherwise. The investigators also did not present me with any charges because he survived. But the first 3, which we received, are high-speed, sleepy, no. The brains of the first literally scattered on the second, and the brains of the second smeared on my wall. I pierced the third through. The heart is light and everything is in meat. He died on the spot. The fourth, it was my ex-brother. Of the 3 bullets that hit him, 1 only slightly scratched his ass, the other firmly stuck in the right buttock, and the third hit exactly in the spine, approximately in the kidney area. The vertebrae are fractured, the spinal cord is destroyed. His brilliant career in breakdancing and cycling competitions ended once and for all. The guy was paralyzed below the waist, a permanent catheter for urine, a pad for everything else, the only healthy product that he could now produce. He will never be able to walk again. He will never be able to poke. And when his condition stabilized so much that he could be discharged from the hospital, he was not sent home, but to prison. 3 charges of unintentional murder. He was hanged for the death of his friends, plus charges of conspiracy to murder, attack, beating, and even creating a threat to others, since, according to the law, it was he who was hanged and the risk of me shooting in a residential complex. And opposite the open door was another apartment. He will never breathe the smell of freedom again. I would like to say that after that, everything ended like in a fairy tale. That the ex-wife came back to me, that we got married, that I adopted her baby, and that we then had 2 more of our own. But no, not a day has passed since she said that she is afraid of me, that she does not want me to approach her or her child, which will call the police if I appear next to her house or work. Here's the shit, but I like that target. She called me a killer, accused me of poisoning cops on him to provoke a response reaction and get a reason to shoot him. Completely ignored, set on fire, vandalism, all the threats he had been throwing at me for months. I didn't see her anymore. She blocked me everywhere, her family too. Changed the number, moved to another target, and a couple of months later moved to another district of the city. 8 years have passed since then. I still haven't heard a word from her. I know she's alive. My friends told me that in 2020 she got married, gave birth to a second child, and seems to be happy. Well, let it be so. I never got my happy ending, my white fence. Believe it or not, but the murder of 3 people, even if you are trained to fight and prepared for the fact that one day you may have to do it, hits hard on the head. Especially when it happens not in Baghdad or Abbottabad, but at home. There is a huge mental and emotional difference between a murder at work and a murder because your life was hanging by a thread. I suffered from PTSD. For a whole year I could not touch a weapon, even when it was returned to me, without panic. The fleet responded to everything with understanding. They assisted in the investigation, including the very commander who called me a moron. He gave testimony about that morning when they attacked me. I was offered to settle at the base under guard until the situation calms down, but I refused. 8 years have passed since then. I retired. I work in the private sector. I have my own OON. I earn great money on consultations on hypersecurity and security of facilities. Sometimes I go out to the sea by boat. My wife, with whom I have been for 3 years, is the most loving and supportive person I have ever met. I know that if someone again tries to kill me, she will stand behind me. We discuss with her when we should have children. We talk about what needs to be done until we are not too old. Life is good, but do you know what really warmed my heart? Just the other day, I received a notification from Google that I set up 8 years ago. It had the name and surname of a drug addict and the word necrologist next to it. It turns out that someone in prison got tired of listening to how this moron in an invalid chair blows his cheeks and shouts for his coolness, thinking that no one will touch him since he